When most people think of American railways, they picture delayed Amtrak schedules, aging stations, and a quiet jealousy over the high-speed passenger networks zipping across Japan and Europe. But while the rest of the world was obsessing over passenger speed, the United States quietly built the most efficient, hyper-profitable cargo machine on Earth. It operates completely out of sight. Every single year, this invisible web moves roughly 1.6 billion tons of raw goods. That is nearly 40% of all long-distance cargo in the country. We are talking about the immense volume of coal that powers the electrical grids, the massive shipments of grain that feed millions of people, and the shipping containers packed with consumer tech arriving from Asia. Operating this massive network is an incredible logistical feat. It is a system built on extreme corporate consolidation and a level of Wall Street ruthlessness that has turned basic infrastructure into a goldmine. In almost every other developed nation, governments heavily subsidize or outright own the railway infrastructure. In the United States, private freight companies literally own the dirt. They own the land and they own the tracks beneath the trains. This territory is tightly controlled by an elite club of megacorporations known as the Class 1 railroads. Goliaths like Union Pacific, BNSF, CSX, and Norfolk Southern operate as natural duopolies across massive regions of the country. If a timber company in Seattle needs to ship 10,000 tons of wood to a factory in Ohio, long-haul trucking is far too expensive. Air freight is mathematically impossible. They are forced to use the single railroad operating on that route, and they pay exactly what that railroad demands. This inescapable geographical leverage guarantees absolute pricing power. It provides a massive economic moat, which is exactly why investors like Warren Buffett pour tens of billions of dollars into buying these companies outright. For decades, freight trains operated a lot like a local bus system. They would sit in a yard and wait until a customer filled up enough cargo cars before finally dispatching the train to its destination. This approach was highly flexible and kept customers happy, but it required holding on to a lot of excess equipment and labor. It produced steady returns, but it fell far short of the profit margins Wall Street demands. In the late 1990s, a railway executive named E. Hunter Harrison introduced a brutal new strategy to extract those profits. He called it Precision Scheduled Railroading, or PSR. PSR replaced customer satisfaction with a singular focus on asset utilization. Under this system, trains run on a fixed, unyielding schedule whether the customer is ready or not, forcing the entire physical network to conform to a strict mathematical model. To achieve this, the railroads initiated 3 drastic physical changes. First, they stopped running separate, manageable trains and coupled them together into single megatrains. By stretching these trains up to 3 miles long, they instantly slashed their required fuel and dramatically reduced their per-ton labor costs. Second, they gutted their workforce. Over a single decade, Class 1 railroads eliminated nearly 1/3 of their entire staff, forcing the remaining crews to manage massive amounts of cargo on irregular schedules. Third, they abandoned massive local sorting facilities called hump yards. The entire network was stripped down to focus exclusively on rigid, point-to-point transit. This chart tracks the industry's operating ratio, the metric measuring how many cents it costs a railroad to make $1 of revenue. As companies aggressively adopted PSR, this ratio plummeted to historic lows. The resulting cash flow was staggering. Billions of dollars flooded back to shareholders in the form of stock buybacks and dividends, turning an aging industrial sector into a darling of the financial sector. The railroads successfully engineered a highly profitable machine. But to hit those perfect numbers, they had to strip the physical system of all its slack and all its margin for error. A physical system with zero slack cannot easily absorb shocks, and it certainly cannot share space. By federal law, Amtrak is supposed to have dispatch preference over freight trains on American tracks. But when a cargo train is 3 miles long, it physically cannot fit into the passing loops designed to let passenger trains bypass it. Because the freight companies own the actual rails, their oversized cargo routinely blocks the main lines. Passenger trains are forced to sit on sidings for hours, waiting for corporate shipments to slowly clear the route. The freight companies simply view the minor federal fines for delaying passengers as a negligible cost of doing business. The system is designed to prioritize cargo volume over every other legal or practical consideration. This drive for hyper-optimization has degraded the system's physical safety and structural resilience. As trains grew heavier and track maintenance crews faced severe layoffs, the physical strain on the rails reached a breaking point. This culminated in catastrophes like the East Palestine derailment, where thousands of gallons of highly toxic chemicals spilled into American soil. The human workforce operating these machines hit a similar limit. By 2022, exhausted railway workers, stretched thin by immense stress and minimal sick leave, threatened a massive national rail strike. The supply chain had become so tightly wound and stripped of alternatives that this single labor dispute threatened to bring the entire U.S. economy to a grinding halt. To avert an immediate crisis, the federal government had to step in and legally ban the workers from striking. America's freight system remains an incredible, irreplaceable land bridge that connects the Atlantic to the Pacific, but it stands as a stark warning of what happens when vital public infrastructure is engineered strictly to serve quarterly earnings reports.